Before you spend another nickel, ask yourself what you just tossed away. Top 3 Buffalo Nickel. 1. Denver struck a coin so flawed they had to redesign it mid-year. That rejected Type 1 raised mound now roars at $143,750. 2. San Francisco, a mint half empty, the Spanish flu, a doubled S mint mark punched into panic. That sick bay ghost now whispers $32,900 at auction. 3. Philadelphia, the Jazz Age, a shifting die split the date in two. The split 9 error that nobody chases just landed at $28,800 and vanished into a collection. 3 nickels, no silver, 5 grams of violent history. Legacy Coins, USA. Let's start coin number 1. This is a dark, weathered workhorse of the American frontier, forged not from silver, but from a rugged alloy of copper and nickel, tipping the scales at exactly 5 grams. Forget the delicate silver coins of the Gilded Age. You are holding a 21.2mm declaration of artistic war. President Theodore Roosevelt demanded a coin that looked like America itself, and sculptor James Earl Fraser answered by shattering centuries of classical tradition. He merged the strong faces of 3 real Native American chiefs, Iron Tail, Two Moons, and John Big Tree, into a single defiant portrait of a vanishing hero. On the reverse, the colossal bison Black Diamond, a living legend from the Central Park Zoo, stands on a mound of prairie soil, while the words EPLUBUSUNUM whisper the unity of a young, restless nation. This is not just 5 cents. This is a bronze monument meant for calloused hands and leather pockets. The year 1913 is a baptism of fire, and your coin was born into immediate chaos. Within weeks of its release, the U.S. Mint realized Fraser's majestic design had a catastrophic weakness. On the very first coins, the denomination, 5 cents, sat proudly on a raised mound of dirt beneath the buffalo's hooves, a visual masterpiece that wore down to a smooth, useless blank in a matter of months. The Treasury panicked and forced a rapid redesign mid-year, sinking the lettering deep into a recessed trench, creating the durable Type 2. You must look at your coin immediately. If the buffalo stands on a raised line of earth with the words sitting on top, you hold a rare and fragile Type 1, a fleeting piece of artistic folly. If the ground is a straight, thick line with the words cut into the metal, you possess the corrected, hardier Type 2 that saved the series. We have to address the ghost haunting the conversation around the 1913 nickel, because the word million has been whispered in your ear for a reason. There is a legendary coin, the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, of which only 5 secret, illegal specimens exist, and one of them has detonated auction records well past $4.5 million. That coin is an enigma. Yours is a canvas of the people. Your Buffalo nickel holds a different, equally powerful kind of million-dollar prestige. The true holy grail of your series is the catastrophic 1918 7D overdate era, a coin where a blundering mint worker stamped a new 1918 date directly over a bold, visible 1917 numeral. In a high, shimmering, uncirculated grade, that single mistake screams with value, shattering a world record of $511,875 at a February 2024 auction. This is not a myth. This is a precise, verifiable landmark that your collection can chase. Now let's strip away the romance and speak the hard language of dollars, because the condition of your 1913 coin is the only factor standing between a $15 historical artifact and a $143,750 payday. The Denver Mint in 1913 was a chaotic, high-pressure factory, and a 1913 D-Type 2, in a flawless gem uncirculated state, has violently climbed to that exact record sum, turning a common nickel into a luxury sedan. If your coin's details are worn completely slick, with a flat, dateless trance, it is worth only a few dollars as a nostalgic pocket piece. But if you see sharp, distinct feather tips in the chief's braid and a full, uninterrupted horn on the bison, the value climbs into the hundreds. The Philadelphia issue from that first year, when sealed in a time capsule of perfect MS-68+ condition, has commanded a shocking $79,313. This is not collecting. This is high-stakes archaeology. You need to learn the sacred scale of the hunt, the Sheldon grading system, because a fraction of a millimeter of metal determines your fortune. In good condition, G4, your coin is a weary survivor. The date may be utterly invisible, the tip of the buffalo's horn fused with the rim, and the deep braid in the Native American's hair is a smooth, flat plane. Jump to extremely fine, XF40, and Liberty is sharp on the headband. The bison's horn is complete, but the high ridge of the buffalo's shoulder fur is slightly polished from a decade in cash registers. To reach the explosive territory of Mint State, MS65, your coin must never have known the touch of commerce. It must roar with blazing, silver-white cartwheel luster that spins under light, and the fine split lines in the buffalo's tail must be as crisp as the day they were struck. The graveyard for value on a buffalo nickel is always the reverse. The hair on the bison's shoulder and the tail are the first to die. The U.S. Mint did not just make coins in 1913, it manufactured beautiful, valuable mistakes. The most haunting of all is the 1937 D three-legged buffalo, a coin born from an overzealous mint worker polishing a die so violently that the bison's entire front leg was chemically erased. This eerie, ghostly appearance turns a regular nickel into a multi-thousand-dollar treasure. Even more deceptive is the 1916 double die obverse, where the date and word Liberty appear stamped with a shadow, duplicated by a mechanical malfunction, with pristine examples rocketing to $281,750. And among the quiet, non-era scarcity, the 1926 S from the San Francisco Mint reigns as the absolute low mintage king of the entire series, worth an eye-watering amount in any grade above worn. Your 1913 coin is the genesis of a decade filled with these landmines of rarity. Let's clarify the metal in your palm, because the word silver is a mirage. Your buffalo nickel contains absolutely zero silver. It is a solid, heavy disc of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a golden-hued brute designed to chew through the vending machines and trolley lines of the Industrial Revolution. That 5-gram weight, that slightly thicker edge, and that magnetic pull on history are what define it. The phrase "In God We Trust" sits in small, powerful letters beside the chief's stoic face, a moral anchor for a nation on the brink of a world war. It circulated through speakeasies during Prohibition, bought bread during the Great Depression, and today it sits trembling under your magnifying glass, waiting for you to identify whether the tiny D mint mark on the reverse, just under the ground line, represents a common coin or a Denver-struck retirement fund. Your journey as a collector now begins with a single, breathless action under bright light. Rotate the coin and stare at the empty space beneath the 5 cents on the reverse. If you see a small, bold letter D, you have a Denver coin. If you see the letter S, you are holding a San Francisco rarity, and if the space is bare, it was born in the Philadelphia Mother Mint. That single letter, combined with the sharpness of the buffalo's horn and the depth of the chief's cheekbone, writes the final chapter of your coin's value. You are now the custodian of a 1913 masterpiece, a piece of art that outlived the men who modeled for it and the sculptor who dreamed it. The prairie dust has settled, and the auction hammer is silent, but the hunt for the next multi-million-dollar variant is only waiting for you to look closer. Coin number 2. The year is 1918, and while American soldiers storm the trenches of the Great War, a different battle rages inside the granite walls of the San Francisco Mint. This coin, your 1918 S Buffalo nickel, does not glitter with soft silver. It is a battle-scarred disc of copper and nickel, a war metal weighing exactly 5 grams, forged to survive the grit of a mobilized nation. The San Francisco facility was pushed to its breaking point, striking millions of nickels with overworked dies and exhausted machinery. Every 1918 S that slid from the press carries the invisible fingerprints of that wartime urgency, a coin born not in artistic leisure, but in industrial desperation. The small S mint mark beneath the buffalo's hooves is less a letter and more a battle flag, marking your piece as a survivor of the final chaotic year of the First World War. Something sinister happened inside that mint, and it created the ghost that haunts your coin. San Francisco dies were used far beyond their intended lifespan, grinding the intricate details of Fraser's masterpiece down to blunt, lifeless tools. The result is an infamous phenomenon collectors whisper about, the San Francisco flattening. The high, proud horn of the bison, the deep feather tips in the Native American's braid, the rich texture of the buffalo's shoulder fur, all of it was often born half-dead. Finding a 1918 S with a full needle-sharp horn and a complete braid line is a miracle of 1918 survival. You are not just looking at a coin, you are looking at an industrial disaster, and a perfectly struck specimen is the mythical phoenix that rose from those grease-stained, worn-out coin presses. Now roll out the velvet mat and bring in the 10x loop, because a secret variety lives inside the S itself. A mint worker, rushing through the fog of wartime production, punched the mint mark into the die, realized it was misaligned, and punched it again, creating the 1918 S repunched mint mark. Under magnification, the S appears to have a ghostly shadow bleeding from its serifs, a doubled image stamped in high relief. This tiny mistake transforms an already scarce semi-key date into a specialized treasure that electrifies variety collectors. While the rest of the world hunts Denver coins for million-dollar overdates, the San Francisco expert quietly pockets this repunched gem, a subtle error that can instantly double the value of your 5-cent war relic. Let's talk in the only language the auction floor understands: explosive value that climbs from pocket change into the stratosphere. A 1918 S coin found in a junk drawer, its date worn invisible by a century of rough hands, is a humble $20 souvenir of the armistice year. But climb the grading ladder just a few rungs, and the stakes scorch the earth. An extremely fine specimen with a visible horn and full liberty can command a fierce $200. A gem uncirculated MS-65, blazing with untouched, snow-white luster and a full horn, shatters the $5,000 to $7,000 ceiling without hesitation. And in the rarest of air, a lone, practically perfect MS-67 example has shattered records at a stunning $32,900, instantly turning a 5-cent war nickel into a luxury down payment. This is not speculation. This is a documented, verifiable price explosion. You will hear whispers of $1 million 1918 coin, and you must know exactly what treasure map leads where. The legendary 1918 7D overdate from the Denver Mint, a clear numeral blunder, detonated a massive $511,875 at auction. That coin screams its mistake boldly to the world, but your San Francisco coin tells a quieter, more tragic story of attrition. The 1918 S is not a flamboyant era jackpot. It is a condition rarity of the highest order. If a flawless MS-68 1918 S, a coin theoretically surviving with 0 contact marks and a strike so violent it defeats the San Francisco flattening, ever emerged from a century-old vault, the numismatic world would witness a 6-figure earthquake breaking well past the $100,000 mark. You are holding the potential for a top-pop discovery that could rewrite the census. A profound and often overlooked tragedy shapes every 1918 SUC, the Spanish flu pandemic. As Fraser's buffalo thundered across the coin presses, the San Francisco mint workers were falling ill in staggering numbers, their faces hidden behind gauze masks. The very hands that guided your coin into the world were trembling, working in a ghost city. This invisible history is what separates a common Philadelphia coin from your San Francisco masterpiece. The slightly fuzzy strike, the muted luster, the odd die cracks, they are not flaws. They are the fingerprints of a mint skeleton crew working through a global plague to keep the gears of American commerce turning. You are holding a monument to their silent, forgotten endurance. Let's again shatter the silver illusion, because this coin's true power lies in its base metal guts. Your 1918 S is 75% copper and 25% nickel, an unpretentious alloy that is tougher than any soft silver dime. It weighs a solid 5 grams and spans 21.2 millimeters, a dense little anvil designed to outlive paper money, presidents, and empires. When you flip it under a light, that rich, buttery gold and steel glow is the mark of nickel, not the pale blue of silver. The inscription, "In God We Trust," sits right over the Native American's shoulder, a silent prayer for a nation sending its sons to the Marne and the Muskegon, forever locked into the metal of your 5-cent war bond. Your journey as a collector now zeroes in on one make-or-break diagnostic: the bison's horn. Hold the coin under a bright lamp and find the tip of the horn on the reverse. On a worthless, beat-up 1918S, the horn has melted entirely into the rim, a nub of nothing. On a treasure, the horn stands proud and completely detached from the edge, a sharp, distinct cone pointing to the letter E in 5. Pair that full horn with the telltale ghost of the repunched S mint mark, and you are no longer a casual collector, you are a custodian of the armistice. The echo of the war, the plague, and the roaring 20s lives beneath your fingertips. This 1918 S is not just a piece of a set. It is the pivotal, semi-key anchor of the entire Buffalo series, and it is waiting for you to finally see its hidden, dramatic truth. Coin number 3. The jazz age is screaming through the speakeasies, F. Scott Fitzgerald is scribbling The Great Gatsby, and the Philadelphia Mint is striking your coin inside a nation drunk on prosperity. This is 1925, the roaring heart of the decade, and your Buffalo nickel is a silent witness to celluloid dreams and bathtub gin. No mint mark beneath the bison's hooves means Philadelphia, the mother mint, pressed out a staggering 35.5 million of these rugged ambassadors. But this is no soft, shimmering silver coin. It is a dense, 5-gram plug of copper and nickel, 21.2 millimeters of hardened Americana, designed to rattle through the brand-new vending machines and trolley turnstiles of a modernizing world. The face of that composite Native American chief and the massive bison black diamond were already 12-year veterans of Fraser's design, yet in 1925, they were staring straight into a neon-lit future none of them could have predicted. Hidden on a tiny fraction of these coins is the secret that transforms a pocket nickel into a collector's mortal treasure, the 1925 double die obverse. During the hubbing process that smashed the design into the steel die, a violent, microscopic shift occurred, and the date, 1925, along with the word liberty, was stamped twice in a ghostly overlay. Under a loop, the numerals explode with a distinct split serif, most dramatically on the base of the 9 and the curve of the 5, while liberty shimmers with a faint mechanical shadow. This is not damage, it is a birth defect of the highest numismatic order, a variety so rare that it silently creeps through estate sales and junk bins, unrecognized by the untrained eye. A single circulated example of this double die can instantly yank $1,000 from the market, and in pristine mint state, it is a mortgage payment hiding inside a 5-cent piece. Let's carve the value spectrum into stone, because the distance between a common 1925 nickel and its double die sibling is a canyon blasted with dynamite. A standard, heavily worn 1925 nickel with a faded date and a buff-smooth horn is barely a $2 curiosity, a nostalgic flip of the roaring 20s. Jump that same coin up to a blazing uncirculated MS-66 with booming, frost-white luster and a fully struck horn, and auction hammers fall at a vehement $450. But the double die obverse, in an immaculate MS-66 condition, has shattered that ceiling, ripping through the auction floor at a documented $28,800. This is not hyperbole. This is the quiet, secret value multiplier that makes every 1925 nickel a potential lottery ticket. You are not just holding a coin, you are holding a potential Fort Knox hiding behind a centennial patina. A brutal truth of the 1925 issue is the tragic famine of the full horn. The Philadelphia Mint, churning out columns of nickels at brutal speed, allowed its dies to clog with grease and wear smooth until the highest point of the bison, the sharp, proud tip of its horn, was born as a blunt, pathetic nub. Finding a 1925 with a needle-sharp, fully detached horn is a quest that drives collectors to obsession. This full horn designation turns a standard gem coin into an elite condition rarity. An ordinary MS-67 might settle into a comfortable value, but an MS-67 full horn is a battle trophy that has commanded a fierce $9,400 at public sale, confirming that a millimeter of horn definition is directly equal to thousands of real dollars. The horn is the heartbeat of your coin's financial pulse. Inside those granite Philadelphia walls, the manufacturing secrets of 1925 tell a story of beauty within the chaos. The dies used for this specific year often carry unique, swirling die polish lines, fine, hair-like grooves left by haste that sweep across the fields of the nickel like a frozen prairie wind. These lines are not scratches, they are birthmarks visible only under angled light, a diagnostic fingerprint that helps a specialist instantly authenticate a genuine 1925 strike. Adding to the intrigue is the era's deep, oily mixture of copper and nickel, which gave this year a particular propensity for developing a rich, golden tan patina, unlike the pale grays of later years. Your coin, if untouched by chemical cleaning, should glow with the warm, buttery light of a 1925 gas lamp. You must understand the sheer velocity of life that this coin experienced. In 1925, the Scopes monkey trial questioned the very fabric of creation. Al Capone tightened his grip on Chicago's underworld, and a bootlegger likely slid your coin across a sticky oak bar to pay for a glass of illicit moonshine. This nickel jingled in the pockets of flappers with bobbed hair, passed through the calloused fingers of a Model T mechanic, and was dropped into a collection plate during a Billy Sunday revival. This is not just a 21.2mm metal token. It is a time capsule of a morally chaotic, joyously excessive America. The juxtaposition of the stoic Native American profile against the backdrop of the modern jazz revolution makes this the most culturally conflicted piece of nickel you could ever own. To crack the professional grading code, you must become a forensic artist of metal. Under a single, bright light source, examine the high points that condemn a coin. The Native American's high cheekbone and the tightly braided hair just behind his temple are the first to show friction. A gentle, flat fade that drops your coin to the about uncirculated range. Flip it and scrutinize the reverse. The bison's shoulder fur and the split lines in the end of his tail must be crisp. If you see a smooth, leathery texture on the thigh of the beast, the coin has circulated, and its value sinks accordingly. A true gem 1925 must have unbroken, mint-fresh luster that cartwheels across the entire surface, with no distracting bag marks in the open fields surrounding Liberty's head. The future value trajectory of this jazz age giant is a sleeping bull market waiting to charge. As the standard 1925 in average grade remains a gateway coin for young collectors, the unrecognized double-die obverse represents the true, untapped vein of million-dollar prestige. The 1916 double-die obverse Buffalo has already detonated at $281,750, and the 1925 variety, with its exponentially smaller known survivor population, is the logical next candidate for a violent price correction upward. If a flawless MS-68 full-horn double-die ever emerges from a century-old vault or a forgotten corner of an old collection, the numismatic world will see a six-figure explosion that resets the entire catalog for this date. You are hunting for the ghost in the machine, and the ghosts are disappearing into private collections forever. Your final heart-pounding mission is a three-step ritual under a blazing high-lumen lamp. First, lock onto the date. Drag a 10x loop across the numerals 1, 9, 2, and 5, searching for a distinct flat shelf of doubled metal, a shadow clone of the original number. Second, pivot to the word Liberty and scan for the same spectral doubling on the thick vertical strokes. If you see it, you have just pulled a holy grail from the heap of the common. Third, if your coin lacks the doubling, your value hides in the sharpness of the bison's horn tip. A horn that stands completely away from the rim, pointing like a spear tip, is the difference between a 5-cent relic and a $5,000 work of art. The sound of the speakeasy horn is fading, but the silent auction paddle is about to rise. Your 1925 nickel has waited exactly 1 century for this moment.